Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. It's Mr. Gunter Steiner, all right, the head honcho at Haas, and it's called Surviving to Drive. Of course, a play on Drive to Survive.
Do you reckon Netflix had words about that? Do you reckon they had an issue with it?
I feel like there was a bit of a trade-off. I feel like it was like, maybe. You know what, lads? I give you content.
He's given them a lot of content.
I give you memes.
Yeah.
So I'm having the name. Do you know what I mean? They just did like a silent little sort of backhanded deal about it all. But it makes a lot less sense to me as a title. Surviving to then, it almost feels like driving is then an afterthought after the surviving.
And he's not even
part.
the one driving.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well.
He's just overseeing the survival, to be honest. So
overseeing the survival to someone else drive. Yeah.
That, to be fair, doesn't have quite the same ring to it.
Do you reckon?
But he, regardless of the name being potentially problematic, what he said in it is outrageous as well.
Which, I mean, doesn't overly surprise me given Gunter's track record.
Yeah, we know what he's...
outrageous words coming out of his mouth. But he's been quite... I mean, some would say certainly harsh on Mick. We've had comments that have been taken from the book and put forward by media. A few little... Well, he starts one of the sections regarding Mick with, and now we get on to Mick Jesus.
Yeah, actually spelled like that, by the way, as well.
Jeezoz. And where do I start?
Yeah.
And essentially saying that, well, because 2021, when he was alongside Mazepin in Haas, wasn't great from a, you know, he firmly had the measure over Mazepin, but he did have a lot of shunts. However...
yeah, for me, that's a write-off, though, because the car was so bad and so temperamental.
Exactly. And rookie year, you kind of have to give a bit of concession to that. Anyway, they weren't developing that car mid-season.
Exactly, yeah.
But then obviously go on to 2022, and he said after the Monaco crash, which was his second high-profile crash of the year, Saudi was the first.
That was third Grand Prix, wasn't it? Saudi.
Yeah. And then Monaco just caught the damp stuff into the wall, split the chassis in half. And that was the one...
I do feel bad for him, though, because I remember watching the accident, or I was watching the race, and...
Not just the accident.
Yeah, I didn't just switch on, boom, oh my God. It was weird, because the camera went to obviously miss the actual crash happen, and I saw it and was like, oh my God, he split the car in half. How was he even, like, this must have been the biggest accident of all time. But it actually, like, it was just quite unlucky the way that, the impact happened. But I don't know, I feel like for a lot of the grief that Mick gets, I know he made some high profile errors. I know there was like, the crash in Japan at one point during like practice.
Yes.
There was
at the end of practice.
At the end of practice, there was obviously Saudi Arabia, there was Monaco, there was another massive one in Saudi Arabia in his first season. But like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't keeping up, I wasn't like paying attention to Haas every single Grand Prix and going like, the deltas between him and Magnussen or whatever. But I feel like some of the treatment and some of what he's got from Gunter has been a little bit harsh. Yeah. I feel like it just comes back to the overall cost of the accidents, but...
Look, again, I understand. I think now Nico Hülkenberg has already, somewhat proven that the right decision for that team specifically, a team like Haas, which is just getting to the budget cap, it hasn't got this massive backlog of resource and a big facility that they can kind of compensate for having shunts. That's going to hurt them. Writing off a chassis is going to hurt Haas more than it would hurt Ferrari or Mercedes or Red Bull. Proportionally, it's going to hurt them more. So I understand making that decision. But yeah, I think the way, we had quotes, a few weeks ago, wasn't it, saying, I think from Toto Wolff, saying that he doesn't think Haas would have treated Mick the way they did if Mick's dad was still around and was supporting his career, because obviously the weight that comes with Michael Schumacher and the support that he would have given, which I think to be honest was quite a fair point, because certainly from an outside fan perspective looking in, it didn't feel like, as much as Mick was making mistakes and was from a fan point of view, I think it merited criticism for sure. I think how you manage that from a team, so much of this sport is in your head.
Mental,
and if you lose that momentum, because Mick, pace-wise, wasn't a mile off of Magnussen last year. If you look at the qualifying deltas, there wasn't much in it. However, Magnussen has tons more experience. He's been in the sport since, 2013? So what do you kind of expect if you're not going to put your arm around him and give him the confidence? Because, I mean, there's a reason that Ralf Schumacher's been spitting lots of bars against Guenter Steiner over the last
Ralf
year.
Schumacher spits a lot of bars anyway.
Yeah, man.
He gets involved. He gets amongst.
Yeah, he's not afraid. and that wouldn't happen, surely, if Mick was getting the support he needed.
Yeah. Man, honestly, if he was getting Michael's support as well during that time, Gunter Steiner would have been slide tackled, I reckon, at some point during.
I reckon Gene would have replaced Gunter with Michael.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have held a lot of weight, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, of course it would.
I feel like Haas is just not the environment necessarily for like a younger driver to get that proper coaching and arm around them, just because it's not the type. Well, I don't know Gunter Steiner as a man, but it's not the type of team principal that he is known to be, because he's coming out and slamming his driver in a book like a year later.
Well, Haas and AlphaTauri in that respect, I think, are very different, because AlphaTauri, that's an extension of Red Bull.
Yeah.
They can rely on the parent brand. The whole point of that team originally was to facilitate young drivers coming through. Verstappen used to shunt loads in his early career, because he pushed those boundaries, and now he's a better driver for it. And Haas aren't a team that will allow that, and rightly so, because they don't have that resource. They can't afford to let drivers make loads of mistakes, loads of incidents. And like in the book, right? So Gunter says that Mick was unable to appreciate the gravity of the situation after Monaco.
Yeah.
So unable to appreciate. He felt like Mick's attitude towards that crash was a bit blasé, flippant.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, then you need to make sure he knows, surely that's your job as a team principal going into the season, to be like, right, look, we're Haas, we're in our situation, we get you're a young driver, but also it's exponentially more important to us that you don't write off a chassis.
Yeah.
Because that's going to hurt us more. Surely that's his job, no?
Yeah, exactly. He has to make his drivers aware of what the deal is.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can't necessarily account for. You can't stop a man from crashing at any point during the season. You're not going to go, you're not allowed to crash the car. It happens. But at least if he understands, because clearly he didn't understand. I was wondering, if you're Mick Schumacher reading some of those excerpts, what are you thinking?
I think Mick's he's at Mercedes now. He's got that support from the Mercedes family and Toto. I don't think he's too. That relationship is definitely there's burning in bridges, and then there's both sides. I think amicably that did not work from either side, either point of view, which is a shame. It's a shame, but I guess I think hopefully Gunter will learn from this, and again I guess that's why they've gone so opposite to what they did in 2021 with Schumacher and Mazepin. Yeah. Now they've gone totally opposite with arguably. What average age on the grid? The oldest average? Probably, surely.
Surely.
They're both.
Hulkenberg.
Into their, Magnussen's 30 now. Hulkenberg's 30.
Fernando Alonso might drag Aston Martin up there, to be fair.
But Lance is still 24.
Oh my God, he is, isn't he? Because he started when he was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 24, 25 now.